pardon my sleepy face. It's pretty early for me. So I'm going to be talking about The Stand today, which is Stephen King. I don't really read a lot of horror or scary movies or books, whatever. But this one I did. I was actually interested in it just because I wanted something different. And as you can see, I actually listened to the audiobook on my phone because it was more convenient at the time. Ironically enough, I started reading this in like January, February of 2020 before COVID like really hit the States. So when it did hit and it became really well known here, it was kind of trippy to me. So in the book The Stand, you follow multiple main characters, and I can't remember any of their names because I have read like other books in between. I apologize now. And what happens is there's a military base that is doing basically not chemical warfare or biological warfare, whatever one it is, sorry, but they are making a disease and it gets out of containment, and instead of going through the lockdown process it's supposed to go through, one of the security guards actually manages to get out of the building before everything's locked down. And he's like patient zero to an extent because he's the one who spreads it. Because instead of staying at his place where he's supposed to, he leaves. And as he goes and he leaves, he actually spreads it to other people. And it just kind of gives you an idea in the beginning of how disease is spread, because one of the people that got in contact with was like a salesperson, like I don't remember if it was health insurance salesperson or whatever, but he gets infected and he actually travels like across a couple different states talking to people, so he contaminates like a ton of people before he eventually realizes he's sick and dies. And some people are just immune to the disease and they live, but a ton of people, most people end up dying from this disease, and it is horrific. And in the end, when everything kind of settles and people aren't really dying from it anymore, you have just these people who are kind of like ghosts wandering around trying to figure out where to go and what to do with themselves, because the economy's pretty much gone, the government's gone, like most people are dead. So you end up having a group of good people who are trying to do right in the world and a group of bad people. And there is this holy woman who is very godly, and she can actually kind of like talk to people through their dreams in a way. And then there's this really bad guy who attacks people with like birds and wolves. Like it's kind of like that supernatural mix in with the Stephen King books that he tends to do anyway. But it is a really good book. The ending's great. It's super long, so if you like really long books, like most Stephen King books are like really long, so be prepared to not finish it in a day. I would recommend it if you are kind of, I don't want to say sensitive about the COVID stuff, but if you're kind of hypersensitive about viruses and diseases right now, you probably don't want to read it. I read it before everything broke out, so it wasn't that big of a deal necessarily while I was reading it until after I was done reading it and everything started happening, and I was like, oh god, it's been predicted. But anyway, The Stand, Stephen King, good book.